Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, normally recorded in our studio at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre, currently recorded from our volunteers' homes. To keep in touch with us, use our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, which are all at Q and Review. That's CUEANDREVIEW. Or get in touch via information@qandreview.com. That's information@CUEANDREVIEW.com. Please like and share our podcast and give us any constructive feedback.
Evening Time Sport, May 10. Lundstrom hails genius Rangers boss Van Bronckhorst. Report by Chris Jack. John Lundstrom has hailed Giovanni Van Bronckhorst as the tactical genius that has guided Rangers to within touching distance of Europa League glory. The champions booked their place in the showpiece final in Seville with a thrilling victory over RB Leipzig last week, as Lundstrom netted the decisive goal at Ibrox to clinch a 3-2 aggregate success. Rangers are now preparing for their biggest night in half a century as they get set to face Eintracht Frankfurt and bid to lift their second continental silverware next Wednesday evening. Boss Van Bronckhorst has also masterminded wins against Borussia Dortmund, Red Star Belgrade and Braga this term, and Lundstrom is full of admiration for the Dutchman's approach at Ibrox. Lundstrom said, "I think, tactically, he's just an absolute genius. Honestly, his calmness is always there, and he instills that through the squad. The tactical switches, he puts me where he wants to, at the back, and then back into midfield, but it seems to work, and it's just great. I had an honest conversation with him, and he said that's where he could see me playing at times. I said that was absolutely fine. Whatever he needed me to do was no problem at all. That was very early doors, so I have absolutely no problem in doing what the manager wants me to do." Lundstrom endured a difficult start to life at Ibrox, following his move from Sheffield United last summer, but he has become a firm fan favourite and an integral part of Van Bronckhorst's plans. The Scouser could now become a double winner as Rangers set their sights on the Europa League and the Scottish Cup final with Hearts at Hampden. It was former boss Steven Gerrard that convinced Lundstrom to make the switch to Glasgow, and the move has more than paid off for the midfielder. Lundstrom said, "He was a massive draw for me, being a Liverpool fan going up, and legend that he is. He will always be a legend at the club for getting 55. He was a massive influence, and I was just proud to work under him. He's another massive figure in my football career. He'll definitely be proud of what we've done. He got us halfway, that's credit to him, and Gio's got us the rest of the way." Report by Chris Jack. Evening Time Sport, May 10. Nick Rogers says, "Robert McIntyre is a voice of reason in a game obsessed with money." When it comes to dealing with financial affairs, I'm bloomin' hopeless. I still think you can pay for things with Les Dawson's ornamental blankety-blank checkbook and pen. "Mr. Roger, online banking really is so simple and convenient," gasped the teller as I heaved a mattress onto the counter and told her to tot up what's underneath it. Of course, someone once told me that online dating was so simple and convenient too, until I gave it a go and generated such a spectacularly low rate of interest, I got a stern warning from the International Monetary Fund. In the cash-sodden upper echelons of professional golf, meanwhile, The amount of chatter about money here and money there goes on. In fact, it's so relentless, I am convinced the next time Lee Westwood gets interviewed, he'll open his mouth and a great torrent of coins and notes will tumble out instead of actual words. Westwood, after weeks of speculation and rumour, confirmed that he will be playing in the inaugural event on Greg Norman's Saudi bankrolled LIV Golf Invitational Series at the Centurion Club next month, which boasts a whopping prize fund of £20 million. The rebels are slowly but surely rearing their heads. Some of them seem to be losing their heads too, and it makes for an unedifying spectacle. While Westwood trotted out a few whatabouteries to justify his decision to accept a bumper payday as he moves into the autumn years of his career, Sergio Garcia unveiled his intentions in a rather more spectacular fashion. During the Wells Fargo Championship in the USA, the Spaniard was informed, incorrectly it later emerged, by a PGA Tour rules official that he had exhausted the time allowed to find his ball in a hazard. That provided the catalyst for the former Masters champion to burst into the kind of foot-stamping tantrum you would see in a supermarket aisle when a toddler lunges for a packet of chocolate hobnobs and is thwarted by finger-wagging parental intervention. "I can't wait to leave this tour," he shrieked as the toys came hurtling out of the pram. "I can't wait to get out of here. A couple of more weeks. I don't have to deal with you any more." It was a wonderfully awful show of petulance from a 42-year-old with a history of crotchety childish histrionics and petty grievances. He should have been sent to bed with no supper for the rest of the season. With the same sense of entitlement that used to be the reserve of unhinged Roman emperors, Garcia's antics were perhaps not a surprise. From throwing his shoe into the crowd at Wentworth back in 1999 during a fit of peevishness to spitting in the hole at Doral, Garcia has built up a dodgy dossier down the years. Getting disqualified from the Saudi International in 2019 for deliberately damaging a number of greens with his putter was the nadir. His latest explosion added yet more intrigue to this ongoing Saudi stooshy. It's somewhat ironic that Garcia once blamed a significant dip in his form on the breakup of his relationship with Greg Norman's daughter. Now it seems he can't wait to cozy up to her father and his bottomless pit of Saudi reserves. Garcia, of course, is the perfect fit for the LIV golf recruitment drive. A 40-something veteran campaigner with perhaps his best days behind him. Among the under-40s, meanwhile, which includes all the game's current thrusting young superstars, there is still no enthusiasm for the concept, despite the eye-watering piles of dosh on offer. Money can't buy you love. Well, not yet anyway. If the likes of Garcia, Westwood, and 49-year-old Richard Bland, who also confirmed that he will be competing at the Centurion Club, are waltzing off with mighty cheques, last place at next month's event is worth nearly £100,000. How long until others give in to the temptation and dip their bread in the gravy train? On the same day that Westwood was being largely castigated for taking the LIV golf carrot, Scotland's own Robert McIntyre was being widely lauded for his comments on the current saga. At the end of the day, there's crazy, crazy money getting thrown at it said the Oban man of the dizzying sums being tossed about in wild abundance. If you ask me, it's obscene money to be throwing at sport. There's only so much money that a human needs. McIntyre is a successful and grounded young man with his head screwed on. He could teach a few older heads a dignified thing or two as the power struggle at the top end of the men's game grows ever more unsightly. The general golfing public, meanwhile, may not give two hoots about all this commotion. The professional game, after all, makes up a tiny percentage of the wider golf ecosystem. As the celebrated American scribe George Pepper once remarked at the Association of Golf Writers dinner a number of years ago, if professional golf were to vanish from the earth tomorrow, golfers around the world would observe a moment of silence and then go right on playing the game they love. They'd hardly notice the professional tours had disappeared. Golf would carry on. At the moment, though, golf's obsession with money continues to cause, well, quite the carry on, says Nick Roger. Evening Time Sport, May 10. Celtic and Rangers Champions League latest, as reform decision expected to drag into next week. Report by Aidan Smith. Champions League reform talks are set to drag on at least into next week, according to reports. The Press Association have reported that it looks increasingly unlikely, barring some overnight horse trading, that a final decision on the most significant format changes to Europe's premier club competition for a generation will be taken by UEFA's Executive Committee when it meets in Vienna today. Europe's top clubs have been told to ditch their juvenile daydreams and listen to supporters, but there is disagreement on the best way forward. Europe's clubs, via the European Club Association, the ECA, have previously endorsed an increase in matches from 6 to 10 in an expanded 36-team league phase. They also support granting two teams who miss out on conventional qualification a place in the league phase based on their historic coefficient ranking. There have also been reports that there is ECA support for ditching two-leg semi-finals and instead have the last four teams competing in a week of football event in a single city. Europe's domestic leagues, including the Premier League, think the increase in matches should be capped at 8 and are against qualification based on anything other than domestic performance. The decision is ultimately UEFA's to take, and new proposals from UEFA were under consideration at an ECA Executive Board meeting in Madrid on Monday afternoon. An ECA statement read, "As these important proposals near final agreement to be approved at UEFA's Executive Committee, the ECA committed to working with UEFA to conclude the best possible outcomes for European club football." UEFA's Club Competitions Committee meets this morning ahead of the Exco in the afternoon. UEFA and its president Alexander Seferin praised the role of supporters in thwarting the European Super League last year, and fans groups are insisting their voices heard in discussions on these key reforms. An open letter to ECA clubs issued on Monday, signed by fans' representatives from some of the continent's biggest clubs, said, "In the past weeks, the press has been awash with reports of yet more changes to the format of UEFA club competitions, which will be decided upon this week. This is a clear indication that the clubs and officials in charge of deciding the future of European football are still unable to agree on a common position, let alone one that will benefit all stakeholders. It said the increase in matches would lead to boring and no-stakes matches and would make increased demands on supporters during a cost-of-living crisis. The letter described the coefficient proposal as fundamentally unfair and anti-competitive. And the letter added, they represent an obvious attempt to reward underperforming elite clubs at the expense of others and bring into question the ECA club's rhetoric around the Super League. And it concluded, in the end, your decision will shape the game for a generation, impacting every league, club, player and fan in Europe. We therefore expect you to focus your attention on the serious matters at hand, not juvenile daydreams of extended half-time shows, week-long finals, and similar Super Bowl knockoffs. Moreover, we demand that you listen to the millions of match-going fans across the continent by dropping these reforms and acting in the best interests of the whole European game. The time to do so is now. Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Time Sport, May 10. Celtic told Spurs want to sell Cameron Carter-Vickers. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Celtic have been told that Tottenham Hotspur are prepared to sell Cameron Carter-Vickers this summer and urged to prioritise landing the centre-half on a permanent deal. Carter-Vickers has been outstanding for Ange Postecoglou's side since agreeing to move to Parkhead on a season-long loan back in August. The 24-year-old has helped the Glasgow club to lift the Premier Sports Cup and move to the brink of winning the Cinch Premiership. Postecoglou last week admitted that talks have been held with representatives of the defender and Jota, who is on loan from Benfica, about them joining Celtic permanently. The Greek Australian, whose men can clinch the Premiership if they draw with Dundee United at Tannadice tomorrow, stated that no agreement had been reached. However, former Celtic striker John Hartson has revealed that Spurs are agreeable to selling Carter-Vickers if a bid meets their asking price. The centre-half has been sent out on loan 7 times since signing for the Premier League club in 2016. He has had spells at Sheffield United, Ipswich Town, Swansea City, Stoke City, Luton Town and Bournemouth, as well as Celtic. Hartson believes the English-born footballer has been the standout performer for his old club and reckons securing his services for the 2022-23 campaign is crucial. Said Hartson, I know Spurs want to sell. I know for a fact because I speak to people at Spurs and they want to sell Carter-Vickers. He's been on loan several times and they feel that he's not going back to Spurs, so they want to do a deal with somebody for Carter-Vickers. You can talk about the forwards, Jota, Lil Abada and Kyogo Furuhashi, whose numbers have been frightening. Joe Hart, who has been brilliant, but you've got to look at Carter-Vickers. He's been the dominant one. Karel Starfelt has come onto a game, but he's shown weaknesses and defensive frailties at times. It's Carter-Vickers who has been that man mountain alongside him and taken a lot of pressure off him. To do that for your other centre-half as well, I think he's been outstanding. He would be as important a signing as what Jota would be. I really do think that. I think Carter-Vickers they need in terms of a defender. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Evening Times Sport, May 11. Greg Norman criticises PGA Tour. Greg Norman has hit out at the decision by the PGA Tour not to grant players permission to contest next month's first LIV Golf Invitational Series event, labelling it anti-fan and anti-golfer. Phil Mickelson and Lee Westwood are among the players known to have asked for the required release to play the 54-hole event at Centurion Club, which boasts a total prize fund of $25 million, £20.2 million, and offers $4 million, £3.2 million, to the winner. However, PGA Tour members were informed on Tuesday that releases will not be granted, leaving them open to sanctions if they do tee it up in St Albans from June 9 to 11. In a statement, LIV Golf CEO Norman said, "Sadly, the PGA Tour seems intent on denying professional golfers the right to play golf, unless it is exclusively in a PGA Tour tournament. This is particularly disappointing in light of the Tour's non-profit status, where its mission is purportedly to promote the common interests of professional tournament golfers. Instead, the Tour is intent on perpetuating its illegal monopoly of what should be a free and open market. The Tour's action is anti-golfer, anti-fan, and anti-competitive. But no matter what obstacles the PGA Tour puts in our way, we will not be stopped. We will continue to give players options that promote the great game of golf globally." Releases were granted for the Saudi International earlier this year, but that is an event previously staged by the DP World Tour and now sanctioned by the Asian Tour. The LIV golf events will be seen as a potential rival tour, with Norman saying on Monday he has been given an extra $2 billion, £1.6 billion in funding from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund to build the series of 8 events into a full 14-event league by 2024. Given the strategic alliance between the circuits, it appears likely the DP World Tour will follow the PGA Tour in refusing releases for an event held close to its headquarters at Wentworth. In a memo seen by Golf Digest, PGA Tour Senior Vice President Tyler Dennis wrote to players, "We have notified those who have applied that their request has been declined in accordance with the PGA Tour tournament regulations. As such, Tour members are not authorized to participate in the Saudi Golf League's London event under our regulations. As a membership organization, we believe this decision is in the best interests of the PGA Tour and its players. The decision increases the likelihood of a court battle between the Tour and LIV Golf or individual players." Norman claimed last week that the league was ready to launch in mid-February until Mickelson's explosive comments about the PGA Tour and Saudi Arabia were published, leading some players to back out. "Of course, we have had to pivot because there have been some obstacles thrown in our way with a couple of the institutions, the PGA Tour and DP World Tour, but we have pivoted brilliantly," the two-time Open champion told the BBC. "We have pivoted to the fact that we've done individuals and these will be our startups." Mickelson has not played since apologising for his comments and skipped the Masters last month. He remains on the entry list for the defence of his United States PGA Championship title next week, but has not publicly committed to playing at Southern Hills. Evening Time Sport, May 11. Newcastle joins Celtic in race for Cameron Carter Vickers. Report by James Kearney. Celtic face competition from Newcastle United in their bid to sign central defender Cameron Carter Vickers on a permanent basis, according to reports. The Tottenham centre-half has spent the campaign on loan at Parkhead from the London club and has established himself as an important member of Ange Postecoglou's starting 11 this season. The 24-year-old was nominated for the Scottish Football Writers Association Player of the Year award, and Celtic Chiefs are believed to be keen on thrashing out a deal to keep the United States international tied to the Glasgow club. Any deal would cost around £6 million up front, with a further £4 million in add-ons, which would represent a significant outlay for the Premiership's champions in waiting, and they could be beaten to the chase by Newcastle. The Premier League club, backed by Saudi wealth, have been credited with an interest in Carter Vickers by American outlet SBI. Southampton and newly promoted Fulham are also said to be monitoring the centre-half's situation. Report by James Kearney. Evening Time Sport, May 11. Celtic and the Rangers learn Champions League ruling impact. Report by Aidan Smith. UEFA have announced they will scrap their coefficient plan and from 2024 will award 2 Champions League places to countries whose clubs collectively performed best in Europe the previous campaign. An agreement has been reached in Vienna between UEFA and the European Club Association on access to the new look competition. The proposal to award 2 places in the new 36-team league phase based on individual clubs' European performances over 5 years has been scrapped, with critics arguing it created a safety net for failing big clubs and a Super League by default. Instead, 2 places will be awarded to clubs from the countries who performed best in Europe in the previous term. With this in mind, if both Rangers and Celtic had a strong run in the Champions League, the Scottish Premiership could be rewarded with an extra spot. Staying close to home, if applied to next season, England would gain an extra spot. It is also understood the number of matches in the new look league phase per team will drop to 8, with the initial proposal being 10 matches. Under the approved country coefficient system, England would have secured an extra place in 4 of the last 5 seasons, the exception being performance in the 2019-20 season, when the places would have gone to Germany and Spain. New proposals were presented to the ECA in Madrid on Monday, and the indications then were that more time would be needed to reach a decision, possibly forcing the decision back until later this month at least. However, a key meeting of UEFA's Club Competitions Committee was delayed on Tuesday morning to allow more time for the final detail to be worked out. UEFA originally approved changes to the format in April last year, but the announcement was totally overshadowed by the formation of the Super League hours earlier. At that point, the format included a leap from the current 6 matches to 10, and the awarding of 2 places to clubs based on historic performance over 5 seasons, provided they had done enough to qualify for one of the other 2 UEFA club competitions. Europe's domestic leagues opposed the increase in matches and the coefficient proposal, and still objected even when the proposal was tweaked to avoid clubs leapfrogging rivals who perform better domestically in Europe's Premier Club competition. The report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 11. Postecoglou says he is still under pressure at Celtic. Report by Graham McGarry. It is a rare occurrence that neither the manager of Celtic nor Rangers are approaching the summer with any fear of being handed their P45. Such are the mechanics of the Glasgow rivalry. Success for one usually means failure for the other. This year, though, both Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou and Rangers counterpart Giovanni van Bronckhorst are almost untouchable, scoring highly in the approval ratings with their own corresponding set of supporters. From Postecoglou's perspective, his popularity with the Celtic fan base has rarely been in doubt since the early days of his reign, and will only skyrocket further if the team get the point they need this evening at Tannadice to officially seal a title win they seem to have been celebrating now for weeks. But just because his job is not under threat does not mean that Postecoglou isn't under pressure. That pressure, though, comes from within, placing his own demands on himself to constantly strive to improve his team for the challenges ahead, despite the success he is enjoying at present. Postecoglou said, "I still think we're under pressure. If we don't win tonight, and even if we draw, well, this time that might be good enough, but we're constantly under pressure. I don't think that changes just because you're sort of steering it in a certain direction. I had no doubt that should we have success this year, then this group would have to be back there again next year to produce. I have never seen that as pressure, but what you do want is hopefully to be creating a team and an environment where you are constantly improving and constantly raising the bar. If you do that, then I guess people will assess that differently. The pressure comes, I think, if anyone feels you're standing still or not progressing at any stage. So, from my perspective, I think people have recognized that we have made massive ground this year. We are constantly improving, and even at this late stage of the season, we are still producing football that is making people sit up and take notice. Surely, though, these last couple of weeks have allowed Postecoglou to reflect upon his first season at Celtic, as his team have enjoyed a protracted lap of honour, and he has done his own personal tour of Scotland's football awards ceremonies. He said, "No, mate, because you guys keep hounding me. 1,000,000 people want a piece of me, so I haven't had a chance to do anything. That's part of my job though, so that's fine. There will be a time for reflection and enjoyment once it's done. The reality is that I enjoy every day of this job. I enjoy coming in here every day and working with the players and being manager of the football club. It's not like I feel as if it's a grind at any stage. In terms of the success, I'm very proud of the individual honours that I've won for this football club so far, but the real sort of joy, I guess, and satisfaction comes after it's all done and dusted." The same goes when Postecoglou is asked to ponder where the achievement of winning the Premiership title this season ranks alongside his other career highlights. He said, "I haven't thought about it. Again, it's probably a question I can best answer after it's done. Because the way I think about things is that my role at the moment is to prepare the team and make sure we play well tonight. How will I feel after? Well, I know it's been an enormous challenge this year. It's one I've enjoyed. It's probably only when it's done and you reflect, that I'll be able to give a more honest answer on what it means for me. In the short term then, all roads for Celtic lead to Tannadice this evening, and the opportunity to tee up an almighty title party at Celtic Park on Saturday, where the Premiership trophy will be the guest of honour. Said Postecoglou, "It's an opportunity to create a special moment at this football club. We're looking forward to it. I guess the key thing for us is to make sure we go there tonight, play our football, and continue on the form we have had over the past few months, and make sure we deliver." Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, May 11. Rangers bound John Souttar tipped to play in Scottish Cup final. Report by Ian Collin. John Souttar will continue his comeback from injury against Motherwell tonight, and Hearts manager Robbie Neilson remains adamant the Rangers-bound defender is in line to play against his future employers in the Scottish Cup final. As Hearts' injury concerns ease further ahead of the trip to Hampden in 10 days' time, Souttar is expected to be an unused substitute at Fir Park, just as he was for Saturday's 4-1 defeat to Celtic. Andy Halliday, Aaron McEneff, Cammy Devlin and Michael Smith are all due to feature against the Steelmen following spells on the sidelines. Craig Halkett is also scheduled to make his bid for cup final inclusion in the final warm-up match against Rangers in the league this weekend. However, given the 25-year-old has penned a pre-contract agreement to join final opponents Rangers this summer, Souttar's anticipated return from an ankle injury sustained at the start of March has attracted perhaps the most attention of the walking wounded. With silverware on the line and fitness required to be involved in Scotland's forthcoming World Cup playoff against Ukraine and Nations League matches, Neilson has backed Souttar to make it. Explained Neilson, "We'll have McEneff, Smith, Devlin, Halliday and Souttar will be on the bench. He won't play, but he'll be available for Saturday. The hope for Halkett is Saturday too. I'd rather it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, because now they'll go into these games not 100% fit. That's the dilemma we have. Where will they be fitness-wise going into a massive game? They don't need to prove themselves because they've been working hard. It's more mentally for them to be able to say, 'I'm ready.' If they played some minutes against Motherwell or against Rangers, they can say, 'I'm ready to go,' as opposed to just rocking up at Hampden. But it's just the nature of where we are at the moment. We just need to assess them all and see where we are." Asked specifically about Souttar and his likely availability for the cup final if fit, Neilson added, "John is a Hearts player and he wants to do well for Hearts. Whenever John plays, he'll give 100%. The carrot for him is the cup final and Scotland in the summer, so he wants to play well and do that." Report by Ian Collin. Evening Times Sport, May 12. 3 Celtic burning issues as Postecoglou's side secure Premiership crown. Report by Aidan Smith. Champions again. Celtic deserve major credit for landing the Scottish Premiership crown so soon after their rivals snatched back the trophy last term. Many predicted a few years of dominance from Rangers, but a new-look Celtic team has shown impressive performance levels and consistency over the course of the campaign. The players deserve major plaudits for their efforts, with many having to adjust to the fast-paced and frantic Scottish game. Kyogo Dazen Maida, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Joe Hart, Lil Abada and Georgios Giacomakis have been outstanding over the course, and stalwarts Callum McGregor and Tom Rogic also warrant huge praise. What a season for Ange. The Celtic players deserve major praise, but nobody deserves more plaudits than their manager Ange Postecoglou. What a first campaign in the Parkhead hot seat for the Australian. He has simply taken Celtic from rock bottom to the top in quick time. Postecoglou's signings and style of football have been exciting additions to the Scottish game, and Hoops supporters must be delighted with the upturn in form. The pressure is always on at Celtic, and Postecoglou now faces a huge summer window where he will have to add more quality to his side as they gear up for the Champions League next term. European football was not one of the high points for the Parkhead outfit last term, but with time on his side, supporters will be confident that Postecoglou will have their team ready. Giacomakis leading from the front. Georgios Giacomakis is becoming a real fan favourite at Celtic, and his performances show why. The Greek frontman is an old-school type striker, and he loves a battle up against defenders. He opened the scoring at Tannadice with a bullet header, and he could have had a couple more with half chances dropping at the edge of the area. As much as Kyogo has been impressive, Giacomakis looks like he could be a real exciting prospect heading into the Champions League. Surely Ange Postecoglou will be tempted to unleash the pair as a partnership next term. The duo offer differing traits and would be sure to hit it off in the final third of the pitch. Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 12. Alan Brazil offers Postecoglou on-air apology. Report by David Irvin. Alan Brazil has offered Ange Postecoglou an on-air apology after the manager led Celtic to the Scottish Premiership title. The Greek-Australian boss celebrated with his players and backroom staff last night after a point against Dundee United at Tannadice sealed the title. TalkSport host Brazil was among the doubters at the start of the season when Postecoglou was appointed, but has since backtracked from his comments, and he hailed the job done at Celtic Park as fantastic, as he insisted he'll have to live with his questionable initial reaction to the appointment. Speaking on air, Brazil said, "Listen, I'm delighted. I like eating humble pie. I will apologise live right now. Ange, different class. What a job you've done. Fantastic, and I take it all back." It was the same when Arsene Wenger came. Who? I didn't know who they were, but someone has spotted the talent and brought him over, and he's loved every minute of it. And Brazil could not resist a joke that he'd always expected Postecoglou to succeed. He added, "Last night's draw at Tannadice means that Ange has won the Scottish Premiership title in his debut season. I told you he'd be good. Celtic have won it 10 times in 11 seasons." Back in the summer, Brazil had commented, "I'm not sure I want to read this out, to be honest. Is this a wind-up?" Breaking news from Scotland as Celtic have applied for an exemption with UEFA for Yokohama Marinos boss Postecoglou to manage in Europe. He does not hold the required UEFA Pro licence. Oh, this has got to be a wind-up. He'll be a great manager. Where do they come up with these guys from? Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, May 12. Celtic stars soak up incredible Parkhead atmosphere. Report by David Irvin. Celtic players last night soaked up the incredible atmosphere outside Parkhead after sealing the Scottish Premiership title. Ange Postecoglou's side were confirmed as league champions after taking a point against Dundee United at Tannadice. And after the domestic success was wrapped up, Celtic supporters descended on Parkhead to welcome the team bus back to Glasgow. For several Celtic stars, it's their first time winning the league in Scotland, and they were met with jubilant scenes as supporters chanted while fireworks went off and flares were set off outside Celtic Park. Summer signings Lille Abada and Joe Hart shared snapshots of the celebrations on social media. Celtic Academy graduates Stephen Welsh and Anthony Ralston also shared video footage of the celebrations on Instagram. Ralston simply captioned the footage, "Unreal." Postecoglou was himself close to tears after the title triumph as he hailed his side. He told Sky, "The fans had a tough year last year. Not just the fact that we didn't win anything, but they couldn't come and support their team. They've been right behind us since day one. I couldn't be happier. I'm really proud of this group of player and staff. I think our football has been outstanding, but the character this team has shown through the last 31 games to rise to every challenge, I couldn't be more proud of them." Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, May 12. Postecoglou says it has taken every ounce of him to deliver title for Celtic. Report by Graham McGarry. Ange Postecoglou has dedicated Celtic's title win to his family and the club's fans, saying it has taken every ounce of him to deliver this success for them. The Celtic manager was visibly emotional as he reflected on the magnitude of his achievement, fulfilling his lifelong dream in the process, and acknowledged the impact his feat would have for his homeland of Australia. The Celtic motto may have become "We never stop" under his guidance, a phrase he uttered in an early training session, and one that ended up emblazoned on the back of their T-shirts that celebrated their title success. But Postecoglou says he will now enjoy Trophy Day at Celtic Park against Motherwell on Saturday, before taking a well-earned break to look back on an incredible season. Said Postecoglou, "It's hard for me to comprehend. I've had this lifelong dream to manage a world-famous club, trying to make an impact. I'm in the spot now of achieving something I have always wanted to achieve. I guess it's a weird kind of feeling for me. All those things are important. That's the kind of weight and responsibility you carry. But ultimately, you carry it as manager of this football club, as well as representing the country I was born in, and the country I grew up in, plus the people who have been along the journey, my beautiful wife and 3 boys, my friends, people who have been beside me. I think about how they are feeling. Right, it's really special. They are all part of me. They go through the ups and downs and the stresses. Hopefully they feel good tonight. The sacrifices my family make are for these moments. They are the intangibles that make this job special. It's fair to say it's taken every ounce of me. I put everything into it because I knew how big a challenge it was. Now we've done it, and the overriding emotion is one of relief and satisfaction, and you feel drained because we've had to be really focused this year and not get distracted. To play in this city, it's very easy to get distracted by other teams and issues. There's a potential to take you away from what's important, and we've been concentrating so hard. It feels like 2 seasons in one. We've jammed in a rebuild season and season of success. I came with the best intentions. I'm a pretty ambitious guy, but I knew it'd be a tough ask because I knew our starting point and the opposition. After round 7, you look where we were, and now to be 31 games undefeated has been unbelievable. Postecoglou said that the bond between the players and supporters was key to getting his men over the line. He said, "The club had a difficult year without success. Even worse, the fans couldn't do what they loved the most. I knew this year would be a pretty important year. As much as steadying the ship, we had to put down a marker for the fans and make an impact. The fact we've ended up champions is pretty amazing." Report by Graham McGarry. Evening Times Sport, May 12. Van Bronckhorst provides Rangers injury update. Report by Aidan Smith. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has provided an injury update on Ryan Jack and Kemar Roofe after the pair were absent for Wednesday night's win over Ross County. Roofe is battling back to full fitness as he aims to make the Europa League final against Frankfurt next week. Jack has been a constant performer in recent weeks, but was not involved in the Ibrox squad at all against County. Van Bronckhorst explained, "Roofe is going to be a close call. We're working day by day. Jack is ahead of him. He will be ready, I think, for the final." Rangers signed off at Ibrox for the season with a routine 4-1 win over Ross County. On a night when Old Firm rival Celtic officially wrestled the Singe Premiership title back with a 1-1 draw against Dundee United at Tannadice, the Light Blues kept things ticking along towards Seville. Attacker Scott Wright opened the scoring in the 13th minute, before skipper James Tavernier won and converted a penalty in the 28th minute. Although Staggy's substitute Jordan White reduced the deficit in the 72nd minute with a terrific finish, Rangers substitutes Fashion Sakala and Amad Diallo struck late on. While there remains one final league match versus Scottish Cup final opponents Hearts at Tynecastle on Saturday, all the Rangers' focus is on the Europa League final against Bundesliga side Eintracht Frankfurt next Wednesday night, before they face the Jambos in the Hampden Park showpiece 3 days later. Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 12. Van Bronckhorst quizzed on Diallo. Report by David Irvin. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst hailed Amad Diallo after another impressive cameo performance at Ibrox, but was coy when quizzed on another loan move for the attacker. The on-loan winger stepped off the bench to score in the routine victory over Ross County, and Van Bronckhorst has been impressed with his recent performances after a sticky start to life in Glasgow for the Manchester United winger. Said Van Bronckhorst, "I'm happy with Amad. He's been getting more minutes in the last few weeks. He's been training well. He had a moment where he found it a bit difficult with the new team he was in, the adaptation to a new city, but I'm really happy with him. He's a very, very good winger, as we've seen in the last few weeks, but we also have a lot of players in that position available who have also done well." The 19-year-old is on loan at Rangers until the end of the season, but Van Bronckhorst offered little when asked if he could return to Glasgow. Asked whether Diallo could return for another stint at Rangers, the Rangers boss said, "I'm happy with his performance. His loan is to end of the season. Then he goes back to Manchester. If he's here next season, I don't know. Report by David Irvin. Evening Times Sport, May 13. Clydebank cheerleading squad crowned world champions. Report by Nicole Mitchell. A cheerleading squad from Clydebank have been awarded a precious Gold Globe after coming first place at a competition in Florida. Senior Black, the elite POM team of Champions Dance and Cheer, CDC, were crowned the United States All-Star Federation Co-ed POM World Champions at the Cheerleading Worlds in Orlando on Sunday, April 24. It is the first time the team have come first place in the competition, which is held annually in Walt Disney World since they started competing in 2009. Lisa Tosney, head coach and president of the governing body Sport Cheer Scotland, says she is still in disbelief at the win. She said, "We have been travelling to the Worlds with this team every few years. Obviously we cannot afford to do it every year since 2009. Two of the girls that coach the team with me now, Stacey and Jennifer Greer, they both were originally members of the team, so this has been something that we've dreamed about forever, so it's amazing for it actually to happen. The highest place we've ever placed was 4th, and we've always just really wanted to get a globe, which comes in gold, silver and bronze. We've been trying to get one of these globes for years, so the fact that we managed to achieve this with the pandemic and everything else that's gone on, we're just over the moon." POM dance is CDC's speciality and is a mixture of jazz and cheer dance with the use of pom-poms. The team, which trains twice a week, is made up of 18 members who range in age from 14 to 28. They beat off competition from all around the world to come into first place, including teams from England, Canada and Ecuador in the final. Lisa, who has been coaching for 20 years, said, "When they won, there were tears. They were in absolute shock. We knew we were sitting in first place on day one at semi-finals, and they were really determined going into day two that they kept their position. So it was a lot of pressure put on them to try and keep the number one spot. So I think it was just a mixture of relief and years of hard work, and they were just elated to win that day." The team got to celebrate the night after the competition with a private party in Magic Kingdom after it was shut to the public. Lisa said, "They had a DJ in front of the castle, and all the kids that had competed got to ride the rides without the massive queues. It was really fun to go to a private event in Magic Kingdom. There's not a lot of people that would get the opportunity to ever do it, so it was very magical." However, as well as competing in the World Championships, some of the team have had the added pressure of sitting their SQA exams while in Orlando. Lisa said, "They had to sit their exams under exam conditions at the same time that it would be back in the UK. So that means there were kids that had to get up at 4 in the morning to sit, for example, their higher politics. They had to go mentally prepared to compete at a world championship and also still keep up with their studies and make sure they get good results from school so that they don't miss out. I think they coped well. I think that doing a team sport, especially a world championship where we're training more, it just really teaches them time management as they have to study when they get the opportunity or train when they get the opportunity. I think it teaches them to juggle lots of balls and they all seem to cope absolutely fine. Now the team has its sights set on the 2028 LA Olympics, which is expected to be the first time the competition will host cheerleading after it was recognised as an Olympic sport in 2021, though they won't find out until the 2024 Games. Lisa said, "Not every sport gets to actually do the Olympics, but the LA Games seem like a good call that we will be chosen for, because it's something that they know they can sell out stadiums for. I think if it's ever going to be in the Games, it will be the LA one, considering it's primarily an American sport." CDC is Scotland's premier cheerleading and dance team, and they compete both nationally and internationally. Report by Nicole Mitchell. Evening Times Sport, May 13. Oliver Glasner provides injury update on key Frankfurt player. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Eintracht Frankfurt manager Oliver Glasner has revealed Jesper Lindstrom will be given every opportunity to play against Rangers in Seville next week, but admitted the Danish winger is a major doubt for the Europa League final. Lindstrom has been in outstanding form for the Deutsche Bank Stadium club in Europe this season, and was influential in the wins over Real Betis, Barcelona and West Ham in the previous knockout rounds. However, the 5 times capped 22-year-old suffered a thigh injury in the 2-1 victory over West Ham in London last month and has not featured for the Eagles since. Said Glasner, "The medical department is working at full speed. I don't want to make a forecast just yet. A plan will be decided in the last 2 days. With Lindstrom, it will be a photo finish. He could play, he might not play, but we are still optimistic. If there is a guy who is better than him in his current shape, he won't play. But if Lindstrom is better in his shape, Lindstrom will start. It is as easy as that." Meanwhile, on-form Eintracht goalkeeper Kevin Trapp has dismissed concerns about the hand injury he picked up in the Europa League quarter-final win over Barcelona ahead of the final against Rangers. He said, "It's something that's been with me since the Barcelona game, but it doesn't hinder me, it's no problem. Nothing is in danger." Trapp, the former Paris Saint-Germain player, who was dropped from the German squad last year after a dip in his performance levels, is confident that both he and Eintracht Frankfurt can continue to perform above expectations when they take on Rangers. He said, "At the beginning of the season, there were also some experts who expressed their opinion about me. It is not important for me. It's like this today, it's like this tomorrow. It's nice to have." Even though we have 16 or 17 different nationalities, it works surprisingly well. Everyone wants to integrate. There is a team on the pitch that does everything for each other. That's the key to functioning as a team. I am so looking forward to the final. It will be massive with 2 traditional clubs who both have a massive fan base. We are just one step from fulfilling our big dream. Everyone I know shows belief in Eintracht Frankfurt. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Evening Times Sport, May 13. Postecoglou reveals why Rogic and Bitton wanted to leave Celtic as he heaps praise on the two. Report by Aidan Smith. Ange Postecoglou has revealed that both Tom Rogic and Nir Bitton wanted to leave Celtic this summer. The Parkhead Club made a shock announcement this morning that the experienced duo would be leaving at the end of the season. Both players have given over 9 years of service to Celtic and have amassed an amazing 34 trophy wins between them over that time. Hailing the pair, Postecoglou revealed that he had hoped they would stay beyond the end of their contracts. He said, "While we are very sad to see both Tom and Nir leave the club, we totally respect their decisions in wanting to seek a different challenge in football, having both played their part in our success for the past decade. They have certainly made such a tremendous contribution to Celtic over such a long and successful period for the club, and I understand that in their minds the time is right to move on. I am sure they will leave with the sincere best wishes of our supporters, having given so much of themselves to Celtic. From a personal perspective, as well as being very talented players, both Tom and Nir are top guys who have supported me brilliantly this year in my first season, and again played a big role in this season's success. Of course we will miss them, but we wish both Tom and Nir and their families great success in everything they do." Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 13. Tom Rogic reflects on magical moments as he pens emotional Parkhead exit message. Report by Aidan Smith. Tom Rogic says Celtic will always hold a special place in his heart after he ended an almost 10-year stint with the Parkhead club. Celtic made the shocking announcement today that both Rogic and long-term teammate Nir Bitton would be leaving the club in the summer. First to join was Australian international Rogic, who signed from Central Coast Mariners during the January window of 2013, having just turned 20 years old a month earlier, and he made his Celtic debut a month later. That was the first of 271 games, during which he netted 46 goals, while picking up no fewer than 6 championship medals, 5 Scottish Cups and 5 League Cups, for a 16-medal haul. Speaking after his exit was announced, Rogic said, "I want to sincerely thank everyone at the club and all our supporters for everything that has been given to me while I have been at Celtic. It has been a phenomenal journey, with some magical moments. It has been an honour to be a part of this experience. It has been a privilege to play for the Celtic supporters, the best in football I have ever experienced, and the great times I have been part of will stay with me forever. While I am so sad to leave, I feel so proud to be part of a team that has delivered the title again for our fans. The club is in a great position, and I know the manager will take the club on and deliver more and more success. Celtic will always be in my heart and part of my life, and I wish the club and our fans nothing but success for the future." Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 13. Seville Mayor reveals Rangers supporter Europa League fan zone details. Report by Aidan Smith. Seville Mayor Antonio Munoz has confirmed that there will be a fan zone for ticketless fans during the Europa League final. Tens of thousands of Rangers fans will travel to Spain for the Light Blues' first European final in 14 years, although Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's side have only been allocated 9,500 tickets for the 43,000 capacity stadium. And now ticketless fans can breathe a sigh of relief, as Rangers supporters will be able to gather together for their biggest match in years. Munoz told the Daily Record, "Yes, that is how it is planned. Its location and operation will be communicated soon. We are aware that fans will travel without tickets. It is not the ideal situation, but we are going to work to give the appropriate response to those fans. We are aware, and we are preparing a large area to be able to give the appropriate response. There is a coordination table that includes UEFA, the Spanish Football Federation, the City Council, and the delegation of the Government of Spain, in which the local police and the national police are present, which is analysing all the forecasts of both people who come with a ticket and those who travel without it. Seville has already played host to major sporting, cultural or institutional events of national and international scope in recent years. Recently, the finals of the Copa del Rey or the European Championships have been held. We also have two clubs, such as Sevilla and Betis, with extensive experience in European competitions. The city is ready. Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 16. Calvin Bassey details grounded advice from Rangers stalwarts. Report by Christopher Jack. Calvin Bassey has experienced a remarkable rise throughout the season to remember at Ibrox, but the defender reckons keeping his feet on the ground has been key to his success as part of a silverware-chasing Rangers side. Bassey has been an impressive performer this term, as he has operated at left-back and centre-back berths with real aplomb. He is now in line to feature in Seville, as Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's side set their sights on Europa League glory against Eintracht Frankfurt. Van Bronckhorst has masterminded wins over the likes of Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig, but Bassey knows Rangers will not get ahead of themselves, leading into their shot at glory. Bassey said, "I'm obviously excited for the occasion. There's no shying away. It's a massive day for the club and for us, and it's a massive opportunity for us to make history. For us, it was never about thinking too far ahead. It's been about taking each game as it comes, then building from that. We've had games where we've looked like we're out, 1-0 against Braga, 1-0 down against Leipzig, but we just kept pushing through. So for us, it's just about taking each game as it comes. Now it's just amazing to be here in the final. Us being in this stage of a major European tournament is unbelievable, really. The style of play. You can see the obvious difference the manager has made. We feel solid, we look solid, and we're just happy to be here. My own development has been amazing. Obviously, being one of the younger boys, the whole thing has just been amazing. It's been an unbelievable experience, and I'm just trying to take it all in. But at the same time, I remember I've got a job to do. The boys around me keep me so calm and so grounded, so level-headed, to make sure we take each game as it comes and keep our focus on the bigger picture. Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, May 16. Craig Halkett makes Rangers noise call. Report by Chris Jack. Craig Halkett has backed John Souttar to end his Hearts career on a high at Hampden and ignore any off-field noise over his impending move to Rangers this summer. Souttar stepped off the bench for the final minutes of a 3-1 defeat on Saturday as his future employers brought the curtain down on the Premiership campaign with an impressive showing at Tynecastle. Now the defender will aim to get one over on the side he will soon line up for, as the Jambos aim to cap an encouraging campaign in style and bid for Scottish Cup glory on Saturday. Souttar looked to have played his last game for Robbie Neilson's side after undergoing ankle surgery in March, but is now in contention to start against Rangers. And at centre-back partner Halkett has no doubts about the 25-year-old's commitment to the Gorgie cause ahead of their chance to become Hearts legends with a cup triumph. Said Halkett, "John's a top professional. He's a Hearts player at the moment. He's not going to be a Rangers player until the start of next season. He is fully concentrating on winning the cup with Hearts. It's a chance to win a major trophy in Scotland. He will be doing everything he can for Hearts and all the boys to win the cup." You look at the previous teams that have won cups with Hearts. They still get spoken about to this day. It's a chance to write yourself into the history of this club. It would be a massive achievement for all the boys in there, not just John. Everyone is going to be doing everything they can to make sure we come out victorious on the day. It was exactly how I expected him to handle it. John's a top professional. I think he knew when he signed that there was going to be a wee bit of noise, but he has always just put his head down, worked hard, and not let it affect him. You saw that in the few weeks after the window closed. He put in some of the best performances he has put in all season. It is a testament to him and how good a professional he is. Souttar and Halkett are likely to get a run out in a bounce game this week as they step up their preparations for the Hampden clash after lengthy spells out of action. Rangers will warm up for the final with a Europa League shot at glory against Eintracht Frankfurt, but Halkett reckons evens in Seville won't impact on how this afternoon unfolds on Saturday. He continued, "I don't think so. When Rangers played the 120 minutes in Europe, they had the Old Firm game the week after and turned in a performance. So we're not going to worry too much about how long they play or what the result is. It's all just going to be concentrating on what we're going to do." Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, May 16. Chris Boyd issues confident Rangers statement. Report by Aidan Smith. Chris Boyd is full of confidence that his former club can get over the finishing line and secure the Europa League trophy on Wednesday night. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's team are up against Frankfurt in the showpiece final in Seville, and the team is set to jet out to southern Spain today. Boyd is already soaking up the sun on punditry duties for Sky Sports, and ahead of the huge game, the former Ibrox man is confident of a positive result. He said, "It's great for Scottish football. I'm not sure everyone in Scotland will be supporting Rangers, but Scottish football as a whole is in a great place right now, and none more so than Rangers coming here to represent in a European football." You've got to take finances in context as well, because when you look at the clubs who have been dominating in Europe, it is difficult for any Scottish team to compete. But you've got to give Rangers a lot of credit for getting the results that they've had so far in Europe. They've got one more step to go, and it would be an unbelievable achievement. When you look at the teams Rangers have overcome, they've had to do it the hard way, and they won't be fazed by Eintracht Frankfurt. Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Times Sport, May 16. Inside the Rangers' personalised dressing room for Europa League final. Report by Aidan Smith. Rangers players and staff will enjoy a personal touch when they're getting set to make history in the Europa League final on Wednesday night. Footage has emerged today of the dressing room that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst's team will adopt for the showdown with Frankfurt. Ahead of the match, UEFA have added some personalised style to the dressing rooms, and the Rangers badge has been plastered all over the place. The words "Follow, Follow" have also been included in reference to Rangers' famous anthem. Report by Aidan Smith. Evening Time Sport, May 16. James Sands hopes to give Rangers fans something to sing about. Report by Chris Jack. James Sands hopes he can follow John Lundstrom's lead and give Rangers fans something to sing about at Ibrox. The American has found starting spots hard to come by following his move from New York City on an 18-month loan deal during the January transfer window. But he will be in Van Bronckhorst's squad for the Europa League final this week as Rangers aim to overcome Eintracht Frankfurt and write their names in the Ibrox history books. The form of midfield compatriot Lundstrom has been one of the impediments to Sands featuring in recent times, as the Scouser has risen in prominence and influence. Supporters have taken Lundstrom to their hearts, and he now has his own song, to the tune of Belinda Carlisle's "Heaven is a Place on Earth," that has become a terrace hit in the aftermath of the semi-final victory over Leipzig at Ibrox. Sands says, "He is quite the player to learn from, even from the bench, seeing how he handles the game. He is very calm, and he has that switch when he is off the ball. I think he is a great example of how things take time as well. The first half of the season, he wasn't in the squad so much, and now he has been the most important player. I think that is a good lesson for me to take away as well. He has got that switch that all the top players have. I certainly wouldn't want to play against him. I would love to have a song. I have got to put in some performances before that. He has played it quite a lot. There are a couple of good ones. Amad Diallo has got a good one as well, and Fashion Sakala, of course." Report by Chris Jack. Evening Time Sport, May 16. Starfelt hits back at Rangers fans with social media message. Report by Aidan Smith. Carol Starfelt has hit back at Rangers fans after being taunted alongside teammate Jota on a plane yesterday. The pair were filmed and pictured on a Ryanair flight full of Rangers fans as they jetted out to Seville for the Europa League final. One Ibrox fan placed a Rangers sticker on Jota's hat during the flight, and the pair were also victims of taunts throughout the journey. Starfelt reacted to the flight with a social media post where he simply wrote, "Respect the champions." Meanwhile, Starfelt admits he learned quickly the demands of playing for Celtic as he hailed the leaders in the changing room for inspiring them to the title. The Sweden defender had a difficult start to his Celtic career after being pitched into the Singe Premiership opener against Hearts 24 hours after teaming up with his new colleagues. Celtic lost that game and their subsequent 2 away matches, but Wednesday's 1-1 draw with Dundee United made it 31 league games unbeaten and saw Ange Postecoglou's debut season title triumph officially confirmed. Starfelt, who was one of 15 new arrivals following last season's barren campaign, told Celtic TV, "It's a mentality you have to develop when you play for Celtic. It comes with it. It's from the staff. It's the demands of the fans. You have to go out and win every week. It's something I have improved a lot since I came in, and I'm sure a lot of the guys will say the same. To get the winning mentality, it's not only in the games, but also the training. We had a little bit of a rough start. We had a lot of new players, but we have had some great personalities. We had a very good leader in Ange, and many of the guys in the dressing room have been big leaders. Everyone has contributed. It's been a tough journey. We have been working very hard, but now we can look back at a successful season. We have really enjoyed the journey as well. It is unbelievable. This is what we aimed for the whole season. It's a proud moment for all the players, all the staff, their families, the fans as well." Report by Aidan Smith.
And that was this week's Glasgow Times Sport podcast, normally recorded in our studio at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre, currently recorded from our volunteers' homes with the publisher's kind permission. Thanks for listening.